Hey queens, drop everything right now, because in the next 15 minutes I'm handing you the single most lethal weapon in feminine power that exists. The one trick that turns a high-value man from casually interested to straight-up obsessed. On his knees, begging for your attention. And it's not your body. It's not your words. It's the moment you master the art of saying absolutely nothing. The god is silence. If you're tired of chasing, explaining, texting first, overgiving, and still watching him pull away, then lock the door, silence your phone, and let me pull back the velvet curtain on exactly how I went from being the girl who always had to keep the conversation going to the woman who can make a room full of millionaires freeze with one perfectly timed pause. Because when a goddess goes quiet, the world leans in. And darling, I'm about to show you how to weaponize that silence so deliciously that he will literally lose sleep trying to figure out what's behind those gorgeous, unbothered eyes of yours. I still remember the night it clicked for Meprivate Rooftop in Miami. Ocean air thick with money and cologne. I was wearing this backless emerald silk dress that cost more than most people's rent, sitting across from a man who owns half of South Beach. And instead of filling the air with my usual witty brilliance, like I used to do when I was still playing small, I simply stopped talking mid-sentence, let the silence stretch just long enough for discomfort to crawl up his spine, looked him dead in the eye, and sipped my champagne without a single word. 30 seconds. That's all it took. 30 seconds of pure goddess silence, and this man who has women tattooing his name on their bodies leaned across the table and whispered, "Say something. Please. You're killing me." And in that moment, I knew I had unlocked the ultimate power. The kind that doesn't shout. It simply exists. And every man within a 50-foot radius feels the gravitational pull. You see, most women are terrified of silence because we've been conditioned to believe that if we're not entertaining, explaining, or emotionally vomiting, we'll be forgotten. But the truth is the opposite. Silence from a high-value woman is the rarest luxury on earth. It's caviar. It's Birkin waiting lists. It's the penthouse key that money can't buy. And when you learn to serve it cold, calculated, and dripping with self-possession, men will crawl through fire just to hear the next word fall from your lips. I used to be the queen of over-explaining. I'd send paragraphs when he sent one word. I'd double text to keep the vibe alive. I'd laugh too loud at jokes that weren't funny just to make him comfortable. And guess where that got me? Exactly nowhere. Respected by no one. Chasing men who were running in the opposite direction. Until one day I looked in the mirror and decided I was done being the discount version of myself. I was done performing emotional labor for boys who wouldn't cross the street for me. And that's when I invented, or rather rediscovered, the goddess silence. The art of shutting the hell up at the exact moment most women panic and overshare. And let me tell you, the transformation was instant. Men who used to reply hours later started blowing up my phone within minutes. "Hey, you okay? Did I do something? Talk to me. Baby. Delicious." The psychology is brutally simple, yet most women will never touch it because it requires backbone. Men are wired to chase what retreats. It's biology. It's thousands of years of evolution screaming that anything that walks away calmly, while every other woman is clawing for attention, must be the ultimate prize. And when you pair that biological trigger with the aura of a woman who clearly doesn't need validation, you become the feminine equivalent of a black hole. Impossible to ignore. Dangerous to approach. Yet every man wants to get sucked in. I'm going to break this down into the 3 phases of goddess silence so you can start using it tonight. Phase 1 is the sacred pause. This is the entry-level silence that 99% of women screw up because they rush to fill it. Imagine you're on a date. He says something mildly disrespectful or just lukewarm. Most girls either clap back or laugh it off to keep the peace. Wrong. Instead, you let the silence bloom. You look at him, not angry, not hurt, just completely unshaken. And you say nothing. You take a slow sip of your drink. You let your eyes do that soft, half-lidded thing that says I'm bored with mediocrity. And you wait. 4 seconds. 5. 6. Watch him start to squirm. Watch him try to recover. Watch him upgrade his behavior in real time because your silence just told him his stock just dropped 50 points, and if he wants back in your orbit, he better bring a better offer. And the beauty is you never had to nag. Never had to argue. You simply refused to reward low effort with your energy. And that, my love, is dominance in its purest form. Phase 2 is the velvet withdrawal. This is where we take it from the date to the phone. Because most heartbreak happens in the texting trenches. Right? He leaves you on read for 6 hours. Or sends some breadcrumb hay after days of silence. And the old you would have sprinted to reply. Maybe even with an attitude to show you're not thirsty. But the goddess, she goes radio silent for twice as long as he did. Minimum. No stories. No likes. No typing. Bubble. Nothing. Just luxurious. Expensive absence. And while he's staring at his phone wondering if you're out with some 6'5" finance bro who never makes you wait. Your silence is doing the heavy lifting. It's triggering loss aversion. It's making him replay every interaction. It's turning you from one of his options to the one that got away. And when you finally do reply, hours or even a full day later, you keep it short, sweet, and slightly aloof. One sentence, maybe two. No explanation. No sorry was busy. Just pure mystery. And watch him flood your phone trying to lock you down. I've had men book tables at restaurants that are impossible to get into just to make up for a 6-hour delay. That's the power of well-timed silence. It makes your attention feel like the last bottle of 1945 Shadow de Iquam at an auction. Everyone wants it. Nobody can afford to lose it. Phase 3. The crown jewel. Is the eternal echo. This is the silence you deploy when he's already hooked, but you want him addicted for life. This is when he's texting "Good morning, beautiful," planning weekends, introducing you to his mom. And most women get comfortable and start replying instantly. Oversharing. Turning into his emotional support girlfriend way too fast. Huge mistake. Because even when he's obsessed, you must keep tiny pockets of silence sprinkled throughout the relationship like the rarest saffron. You don't answer every call on the first ring. You let some texts sit for an hour even when you've seen them. You disappear for a spa afternoon with no explanation. Not because you're playing games, but because a goddess is never fully predictable, never fully attained. And that sliver of mystery is what keeps a high-value man proposing 10 years later. I know a woman who's been married to a billionaire for 15 years, and he still gets nervous if she takes more than 30 minutes to reply. Because she mastered the eternal echo. She understood that silence isn't empty. It's full of power, full of options, full of I could leave at any moment and thrive. And that quiet confidence is the sexiest thing a woman can wear. Period. So how do you start tonight? You delete the paragraph you were about to send him. You let his last message sit unanswered while you take a long bath and repaint your nails crimson. You walk into every room like the conversation doesn't start until you decide it does. And you practice holding eye contact 2 seconds longer than feels comfortable. Because that tiny pause is where the magic lives. That's where you shift from being the girl who hopes he chooses her to the woman he's terrified of losing. And trust me, once you taste this power, you'll never go back to begging for scraps of attention again. If you're feeling that fire in your chest right now, smash the subscribe button and the bell so you never miss a drop of this feminine alchemy. Because I only teach what actually works in the real world. No fluff. No fairy tales. Just results. And queens, let's go deeper. Because the goddess silence isn't just a trick. It's a complete energetic overhaul that rewires how the world treats you. And I need you to understand exactly why this works on the deepest psychological levels, so you never doubt yourself again when you're in the middle of a silence, and that little anxious voice tries to make you text first. Men are hunters by nature. Even the ones in Tom Ford suits sipping old fashions in Manhattan penthouses. Strip away the veneer and their nervous system still lights up at the sight of something precious slipping away. It's why they'll spend 6 figures on a watch that loses time, but never on a woman who's too available. Scarcity creates value. And your voice, your laughter, your energy, when rationed correctly, becomes the most exclusive currency on earth, more valuable than Bitcoin, more addictive than cocaine to the right man. And I learned this the hard way after years of giving away my power for free. Picture this. Years ago, I was dating a music producer. Gorgeous, famous, the kind of man every woman in LA was trying to lock down. And I was so terrified of losing him that I was on 24/7, answering texts within seconds, planning elaborate date nights, wearing lingerie to surprise him after his studio sessions, basically auditioning daily for the role of his girlfriend. And you know what he did. He started pulling away. Parties without me. Vague plans. Busy excuses. Classic hot and cold. Until one night, he didn't text me back at all after I sent this long, vulnerable message about my feelings. I cried. I spiraled. I almost sent the "we need to talk" essay. But something stopped me. Maybe it was divine intervention. Maybe it was exhaustion. But I put the phone down. I poured myself a glass of wine. I took a sleeping pill and went to bed. And when I woke up, there were 17 missed calls, 42 texts, everything from "baby, I'm sorry" to "I can't lose you." All because I had accidentally deployed goddess silence for the first time. And in that moment, I realized I had been doing it backwards my whole life. I thought love was about giving more, explaining more, chasing more. But actually love, real obsessive, intoxicating love, is about strategic withdrawal at the peak of tension. Because that's when his imagination fills in the blanks with pure fantasy. He pictures you laughing with someone richer, taller, better in bed. He pictures you realizing you're too good for him. And that fear of loss is the most powerful aphrodisiac known to man. More effective than lingerie, than dirty talk, than anything you could ever say or do. From that day forward, I made silence my signature. I started leaving conversations on a high note before they got stale. I started ending phone calls first. I started posting Instagram stories that showed just enough thigh, just enough champagne, just enough mystery to make every man in my phone panic. And the shift was seismic. Men who ghosted me for weeks started sending flowers to my office. Exes crawled out of the woodwork with apologies and plane tickets. And the best part, I wasn't doing it to manipulate. I was doing it because I finally valued myself enough to stop performing. I finally understood that my peace was worth more than his reassurance. My mystery was worth more than his certainty. And when a woman reaches that frequency, the right men don't just want her. They rearrange their entire lives to keep her. Let me give you another real-life example so you know this isn't theory. Last year, I was seeing this venture capitalist. Think 8-figure net worth, private jets, the whole fantasy. And on our third date, he made a comment about how girls always get clingy after a few dates. Testing me. Classic power move. Most women would have laughed nervously or tried to prove they're not like other girls. Instead, I smiled slowly, took a bite of my wagyu, chewed like it was the best thing I'd ever tasted, and then looked out at the skyline for a full 10 seconds without saying a word. Just silence. Thick, expensive silence. And I could feel his energy shift across the table. He started qualifying himself. I mean, not you. You're different. You're so chill. And by the end of dinner, he was asking me to fly to Aspen with him the next weekend. That's how fast goddess silence flips the script. One perfectly placed pause, and the man who was trying to put you in the crazy girl box is now rearranging his calendar to worship at your feet. The best part is this works at every stage. Single, dating, engaged, married 20 years. Silence never loses its power because it's rooted in self-worth. Not games. When you go quiet from a place of "I have options, I have standards, I have a life so full, I don't need to chase anyone," it hits different. It's magnetic. It's royal. It's the difference between a woman who's trying to keep a man and a woman who's allowing a man to earn the privilege of her presence. And once you embody that, y'all never settle again. Y'all never send that "hey stranger" text. Y'all never shrink yourself to make him feel big. Because y'all know, deep in your bones, that your silence is louder than any scream. Your absence more devastating than any argument. And your return, on your terms, the most intoxicating reward hell ever receive. So right now, wherever you are, I want you to make a promise to the woman in the mirror. Promise her that the next time you feel the urge to over-explain, to chase, to fill the silence with noise, you're going to pause. You're going to breathe. You're going to remember that you are the main character, the prize, the limited edition, and you're going to let that silence do the talking. Because queens don't chase, they attract. And the woman who masters the goddess silence doesn't just get the guy. She gets the power to choose which guy gets to stay. And now, my loves, we're at the part where you step fully into this energy and never look back. Because once you've tasted the kind of devotion that comes from weaponizing your silence, there is no going back to the girl who used to wait by the phone, refreshing, hoping, diminishing herself for a crumb of attention. That version of you dies today. And from her ashes rises the goddess who makes men beg, who makes rooms hush when she enters, who can bring a grown man to his knees with nothing more than a perfectly timed pause and a slow, knowing smile. I want you to close your eyes for just a second and imagine it. Imagine walking into any room, any situation, knowing that your energy is so intoxicating that people lean forward without realizing it. Imagine the man you desire staring at his phone, heart racing because you haven't replied in 3 hours, and he's losing his mind trying to figure out how to win you back. Imagine never having to wonder where you stand because your silence forces him to show you, over and over, with actions, with effort, with obsession, that you are the one he can't live without. That is your birthright as a high-value woman. That is the standard you were born to live. And the only thing standing between you and that reality is the decision to stop giving away your power for free. Every time you choose silence over desperation, you level up. Every time you let him sit in the discomfort of not knowing, you become more expensive. Every time you disappear to go live your fabulous life instead of waiting for his text, you become untouchable. And soon it becomes automatic. You won't even have to think about it. Men will just start treating you like the rarest diamond in the mine because your energy screams limited access only. And the craziest part, Yowls start attracting a completely different caliber of man. The kind who don't play games, who don't need to be trained, who see your silence and match it with devotion instead of distance. Because those are the ones who recognize a goddess when they see one. And they'll move mountains to prove they are worthy of breaking that silence with their presence. I need you to understand that this isn't about being cold or mean or playing hard to get. This is about radical self-respect. This is about refusing to negotiate your worth with someone who's still window shopping. This is about building a life so rich, so delicious, so overflowing with pleasure and purpose that any man who wants in has to bring his absolute best or watch you thrive without him. And when you live from that place, magic happens, doors open, opportunities flood in. Your beauty glows differently. Your laughter sounds richer. Even your skin looks expensive because you're no longer leaking energy on people who don't deserve it. You're containing it, cultivating it, letting it build until it radiates so brightly that the right people are blinded by it and the wrong ones run scared. And that, my queen, is true power. So tonight, when you're tempted to text him first, when you're dying to explain yourself, when you feel that familiar anxiety creeping in, I want you to remember this video. Remember the way your chest feels right now. Electric, alive, ready to rule. And I want you to choose yourself. Choose your peace. Choose your power. And go quiet like the goddess you are. Because the woman who can sit in silence without flinching is the woman who wins at life, at love, at everything. And I promise you, from the deepest part of my soul, once you master this, you will never settle again. You will never beg again. You will never chase again. Because they will be begging, chasing, and worshiping you for the rest of your life. And you will just smile that slow, secret smile, sip your champagne, and know, without a shadow of doubt, that you are finally, fully, unapologetically the main character. And darling, the world has never been ready for what's coming. Drop "I needed this" in the comments if you're claiming this energy right now. Turn on post notifications because the next video is even more lethal. And I'll see you gorgeous, powerful women in the next one. Now go be unforgettable.